right, fourth graders. So we're going to get started by looking over our homework. So find page 21 for me. We'll start with 21 and then we'll look at 22. All right, number 1 should have been 854,376 is greater than 845,763. Number 2, 52,789 is less than 52,876. Number 3, 944,321 is greater than 940,123. Number 4, 59,536 is equal to 59,536. Number 5, 3,125 is less than 4,125. Number 6, 418,218 is greater than 41,821. Number 7, 72,746 is greater than 7,756. Number 8, 634,674 is less than 635,647. Number 9, 1 million is equal to 1 million. All right, for 10 through 15, they wanted you to write which place to use when comparing. So number 10, you will use the hundreds place to compare. 11, you will use the hundred thousands to compare. 12, you would use the tens place. 13, the thousands place. 14, the ones. And 15, hundred thousands. All right, let's look on the next page, number 16. So it wanted you to use the greater than or less than sign to write a comparison between two of the city populations shown. So one example could be 129,788 is greater than 128,741. Another one we could do is 129,616 is greater than 128,741. And I know there's more too. If you're really wondering, you can let Mrs. Wells know, okay? All right, so that was 16. And 18 wanted you to write to the number that is 10,000 greater than 563,626. You want to look to the 10,000s place. That's 6. And if we add another 10,000, it would be 573,626. Only that 10,000s place changes. All right, and the last two. For this one, they wanted you to find the sums and write a comparison using greater than, less than, or equal to. So when we add the first one, we should get 8,521. When we add the second one, we'd get 8,676. And we would compare them. 8,521 is less than 8,676. You might have done it backwards and done 8,676 is greater than 8,521. I take either one of those. All right. In number 21, they want you to draw a line to show the place that you would use. It's like on the front side how you wrote the name. This time you just drew a line. So for our first one, you would use the tens to compare. For the second one, you would use 10,000s. For the third one, you would use that hundreds place. And for that last one, we would use 10,000s place. All right, so let's get back to our slides. There we go. So what we are going to do now is go on to our next lesson. Today, we're going to talk about rounding numbers. Now, rounding numbers isn't a new skill. This is something that you've been doing for a long time, at least I know since first grade. So I got a nice little song to remind us of the kind of general rules when we round, and we'll go through and do some examples together. So let's listen to that song.
Look next door, 5 or more, you raise the score. 4 or less, you let it rest. Look to the right, put zeros inside. We will round you up, round you up. We will round you up, round you up. Found a place, look next door. 5 or more, you raise the score. 4 or less, you let it rest. Look to the right, put zeros inside. We will round you up, round you up. We will round you up, round you up. We will round you up, round you up. We will round you
So, we're going to use that strategy today to help us in our rounding, okay? So, what we're going to need is a copy of your paper. Make sure you have that out. Remember, I like to print that a little smaller so we can cut it out and fit it in our notebook. And then a blank page of notebook paper to do some practice problems on. All right, let's go ahead and see our notebook. If you need to pause the video while you find that, remember you can do that. All right, let's zoom in a little more so we can read it. All right, so we got our date on the top. Today is 9/24, and we're gonna get started with rounding numbers. By the end of today, you'll be able to round large whole numbers to any place. We know all the way up to the millions. We can do it all the way up to the millions if we want to. So there's a couple different steps. We're gonna start down here with number 1. First, we're going to circle the digit that you are rounding to. And then we're going to underline the digit to the right. Number 2, if the underlined digit is 5 or more, we round our circle number up. If it's not, as the video said, we lay it to rest and we let it stay. It stays how it is. That's what rest means. It stays where it is. Then the rest of the zeros behind it, the rest of the digits behind it become zeros. Anything in front of our number is going to stay. So let's try this first one together. We'll keep that up there, hopefully, so we can see that. So first thing I do is circle my digit we're working with and underline next door. Just tracing it to make sure I get in that habit. Now I'm looking at that underlined number. Is it 5 or more? We raise this guy's score. 8 is more than 5. So my first number is going to stay a 3. Now I look to my 7, and we said this guy is more than 5. So he goes up to that 8. And then my underline number and everything behind it, put zeros in sight. I like to think of this as like a roller coaster. And I have, to my closest 10,000 for this one, I have 37,000 on this end, and I have 38,000 on this end. Now I'm trying to see 37,892 would be probably right about here. So I'm thinking, yep, it's much closer to that 38 than it is to my 37. Can also go on and try our next one. Let's try that with our next one and think, where would it be? So I have the number 3,442. This time they want us to round to the nearest 100. So I circle my 100 spot and I underline my right door neighbor. Now I look and see, is my underlined number 5 or more, raise the score, or 4 or less, do I let 4 rest and stay where it is? 4 does let it stay, so I keep everything in front of my circled number there. So I have my 3,000, then I have my 4 in my hundreds, and my last 2 digits here, put zeros in sight. So let's just double check. I'm imagining I got this hill. I'm trying to round to the hundreds, so I'm thinking the smaller 100 it could go to would be with that 3,400. The next 100 up, just that 100 spot, would be 500 instead. So, 3,442 is kind of about here, right? Because half would be a little bit, it'd be closer to this end. Okay, so it would round down to 3,442 because that 42 here means it's not quite up there. Half of this, half of 100 would be 50. 42 is not quite there, so it's not quite over that hill yet. Let's look at another one. This time we're going to round to the nearest 10,000. So we circle our spot and we underline our neighbor. Next step, we look to see, remember, if that neighbor is 5 or more, raise the score. 4 or less, we let 6 rest. We let it rest. Well, 3 tells us to rest. So I'd have my 2 would stay. My 6 is resting. He stays at 6. My 3 goes to 0. 4, 5, and 0 become zeros. Zeros in sight. Let's make our roller coaster just to check where it would be. So my closest 10,000, I could either let it stay 260,000, or if I put my 10,000 spot one more, this would become a 7. So 270, I can't quite see that, 1,000. So I'm thinking 263,000. Well, 265 would be the middle, and 263 is less. So, yep, it's not quite over the hill. It would fall back down. All right, let's look at the other side. Now we're going to go on. Remember, if I'm going too fast, you can pause or rewind to watch again. So up here, I just put kind of the steps again. I find it helpful if I write out the steps so I remember them. So if you want to pause the video to write these out, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, they're just reminders for how to round, okay? So we're going to go through and do a few practice problems. So go ahead and copy down these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 problems. I want you to try these on your own, using that skill we just did on the other side. Those same steps to practice rounding these ones. And we're going to come back together and check them after, okay? So pause the video while you work, and unpause when you're ready to check your work. All right, so the first one, we're rounding to the 1,000 spot. Let's see, this would be 129,000. It would round up. This time we're rounding to the 10 spot. So 85,600, and it would round up to 40. Rounding our thousands. Ooh, this one was a little tricky because it's not, if I go one more, this becomes 10, and it would round up to 10,000. For this one, we're rounding to the 10,000s. 400, it would stay in that 90,000. For the middle one, we're rounding to the hundreds. So it would stay at 54,800. It would lay it to rest. Same with our 100,000s for this one. We would lay it to rest to 600,000. For 900,000, it would stay at 900,000. For 666,821, that would round up to 667,000. And our last one over here, we're rounding to the tens place, so 73,000 and 73,070. No hundreds, so I keep that 0. My 6 becomes a 7, and my 5 turns to a 0. Now I want you to take a moment. If you need to pause it, if you need more time, observe these numbers. Which ones do you find are rounded really close to the original number? Which ones are rounded and they're kind of far off? There's a lot of numbers between our rounded number and our original number. Did you notice that as we round further away from our ones place, as we round further away, it's a bigger number, right? More of it is different. But as we round closer to like that ones place, more of our number stays the same. So if we want to round and get a good estimate, we really want to round as small as we can to that tens place, so that way we get as close to our original number as we can. Because if I round to the hundreds or to the thousands, it starts to be a lot different. I might have too much or not enough. But if I round to that tens place, I know it's going to be a lot closer. Alright, remember you can rewatch the video if you need. So what we got for you to work on is your homework next. You're going to do page 27 and 28. Only problems numbers 1 through 12. So 1, 2, 3, all the way to 12. And then 16. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for joining today.